series. Hello and welcome to Complete with DLC, the only show getting adapted into a live-action series. I'm one of your hosts here, Griffin, and sitting across from me is the internetless man himself, Brad Knight. Brad, how you doing?
I'm not happy.
I can tell.
I'm not happy. Yeah, as Jacob very adequately described, I've not had internet all day. It just came back about 20 minutes ago after Comcast had reset it. I had my dad call him up and talk with some very nice gentleman who I never got to speak to myself, but he seemed to fix the problem, for now anyway.
Well, it's a good thing that I had to work until 3 today.
Yeah, that was a stroke of luck. Lawnmower guy came by, I had no internet, it would have been terrible for recording.
God.
Yeah.
So other than the internet, you've been good today?
Yeah, I mean, I finished my book because I didn't have much else to do, so that was nice.
That's good.
I found out that the second book isn't out yet, and I hate starting a series when the whole thing isn't out, so that bugged me. I should have done some more research before I started, but, you know. I'll survive. What about you, Jacob? You just got out of work?
Yeah, work was alright. It was weird. It was stressful for 30 minutes, and then the rest of it I was bored out of my mind.
I cannot imagine it's a lot of fun working in a pizzeria when it's 94 degrees outside today.
See, it's not that bad now that they have their AC fixed. For at least a week, their AC was broken, and then it caught on fire at some point. And, so it was wicked hot in there. But now it's kind of a nice sort of even temperature, because, the hot hits the cool, and it just sort of makes, a nice sort of comfortable temperature.
I wish I could share that with you, but right now it's no. It's 85 degrees in this room right now.
What is it, though? On my walk home, I was so hot, right? I came into my house, I threw the AC on in my room, I went and I took a shower, because I was just I need to just get the sweat, and I need to be cool, and I need to take a cool shower.
I hate taking showers when it's really, really warm, just because I feel like I never completely dry.
Yeah, because,
it's awful.
When you're in the middle of drying, maybe you get a little bit warm, and you start sweating a little bit, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's terrible.
Also, for a little mini rant that I can go on today, because I love going on these little mini rants, I left work, and I went to the bank, right? My rant is not about the bank, surprisingly. I got money on my ATM, and then I was like, I want a drink, right? And there's a CVS pharmacy. I don't know if these are a nationwide brand. I think they might be, or it might just be regional. I have no clue. But I go in there, right, and they have this deal going on. It's 4 Arizona iced teas for $2, right? That's a great deal.
Yeah, those things are pretty big.
Exactly, and it's the price of 2 of them, because they're $1 each, right? So I go up to the thing, right? All it says is the 4 for 2, and it says special. So I'm like, oh, all right, so it's just a little special deal going on for this week or whatever. Get up to the counter with the 4. Now, this woman, I swear to God, Brad, she looked like she was on death's door. She was the oldest woman I've ever seen in my life, and she was working in CVS, so whatever. But so I get the 4 up there, right? And she's like, oh, do you have a card? And I said, no. And she goes, well, without the card, these are $4. Now, usually they have that little temporary scanner thing. I don't know if you've ever seen it where they scan it if you don't have the card on you or whatever.
Yeah.
This lady, she just did not budge for that. She would not do it. So I had to sign up for a freaking CVS Extra Care card.
I have no desire to have one of those things. They try to convince you every time you walk in. Do you have a CVS card? No. Would you like one? No. Are you sure? You ask me again, I'm walking out of here.
But my point is that if you're going to have it be that you need the card for the deal, put that on the sign.
Yeah.
Don't just make it look like it's a sale thing that's in every other store where, it'll say 2 for 10 in Shaw's. And then I don't walk up there and they're like, do you have a Shaw's card? No, well, you're not getting this.
That sucks to be you. Or even worse is when they put it on the sale thing, but the print is so small that you can't see it. You need 2010 superhuman vision to read that thing.
Exactly.
And I'm blind, so.
Exactly. You need bifocals and stuff to get in there. It's just, that was just put the thing on the sign. It's kind of false advertising. I could sue them if I really wanted to.
Somehow I don't think you're going to win that battle.
It's just a way for them to get us to sign up for their shitty cards, if you really think about it. Because they know that nobody's going to be like, oh, fine, cancel the other 2 then.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're already up there at the counter. They don't want to walk back.
It's just a hassle.
Exactly. Screw you, CVS.
It is a regional thing, by the way.
Oh, okay, good. That's great. I'm real glad that I talked about it.
Not just an East Coast problem like Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
Which is a problem, mind you.
Yeah, that there's one on every corner and that they're not replaced by Starbucks.
Yes.
But, so now that we've gotten our small talk quota out of the day, want to get into what we're playing?
Let's do it.
Earlier, as I said, small talk quota out of the day.
Yeah. I figured I'd just let that one slide.
Yeah, I feel stupid. Brad, what have you been playing?
Absolutely nothing, because I haven't been able to connect to anything all day. So
That's fantastic. Let me tell you about Spider-Man 2. I'm just kidding.
I wanted to play, so I had 3 things queued to play. Hopefully, I wanted to play them before we recorded the show, but I didn't get the chance. One of them was We Happy Few.
Oh, you got it?
There's a demo out right now on Xbox One. I don't know about the other 2 platforms, but right now on Xbox One there's a demo. My brother let me know about that, because he seems to have his ear to the ground when it comes to anything free. And
You and your brother are the same kind of man.
Yeah. And Rainbow Six Siege was the other one. I think anyone who has gold can play that for a week for free right now. There's some free play days. And the other one was the first episode of Life is Strange. And I think the only one that finished downloading before, in the 20-minute spurts I had internet today, was the first episode of Life is Strange, but I didn't get to play that.
I haven't played. I had downloaded that too, but I had already watched the first episode. I think I might want to play through that game and make my own decisions.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I don't know too much about it. I know the general tone of the story from the reviews I've read and whatever, and people seem to enjoy it up until the end. So
I think I talked about it on the show. I had watched the first episode and I never got to watch the rest of it. But I would like to play through it, so I think I'm gonna play through that first episode, make my own decisions, and then decide from there.
I mean, most importantly, Minecraft Episode 7 just came out, so
good for you.
I mean, I wish I had 2 through 6, but I'll one step at a time.
Exactly.
But yeah, I played literally nothing except some Hearthstone when I had internet, and that didn't go well because I would disconnect halfway through a game. So,
alright, so sit back, relax, and let me tell you about Spider-Man 2.
This is Jacob's show.
Okay, so I finished The Amazing Spider-Man 2 after we had recorded the show the other day.
That was really fast.
Mind you, first day I played it. So, turns out there was only 14 main missions in this, which, that seems very low, right?
Yeah.
But I had texted you, the plot of this game is nonsense. Let me tell you why the plot of this game is nonsense. There's going to be spoilers. I don't think you care. If you were going to play the Amazing Spider-Man video game, you would have played it by now, people.
Yeah. I'll put the sirens anyway, because I like those sirens.
And, you've probably seen the movie or whatever, right? So the game opens, right? And it's kind of following the plot of the movie, but not really. I honestly don't even remember what happens at the very beginning of this game. I think I go into Oscorp at some point because something's happening, and then I see the scientist guy that turns into Electro, but that's the one time I see him in the game. And then Harry Osborn is working with the Kingpin, and then I'm mostly fighting Kingpin, and I'm working with Kraven the Hunter, but then I'm not working with Kraven the Hunter because he's technically a bad guy, and I fight him, and then I go and I get Kingpin down, and then Harry Osborn wants my blood, but I don't give it to him, so he uses the Spider Serum, becomes the Goblin, and then I fight him, and then the game ends, and I fight Carnage.
So 4 of the people you just named never showed up in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Exactly. There's 2 of them that show up in there, and that's Electro and Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right, is I noticed the Rhino didn't show up either, and he was in that movie. But I think it was because in the first Amazing Spider-Man game, because they have to pad out the time for these games, they had the Rhino in there, so they couldn't use the Rhino from the movie.
That just sounds like a terribly confused game.
Yeah, it's the plot doesn't make any sense because it just goes from one villain. You go through each section with the villain, basically, right? So, the first section, let's say it's Kraven the Hunter. You go through that, you beat Kraven the Hunter, that's it. Then you go through, it's Kingpin, that's it. The Electro doesn't even get a section, right? At the end of the Kingpin mission, all of a sudden, it's that scene where he's in Times Square. And then that's the first time he's ever introduced as Electro, right? You see him in that earlier mission, like I explained, but you never see him turn into Electro. You just see, Spider-Man just says to him, hey, get all these people out of the building, there's an open stairwell that way. And that's the end of my interaction with that character until he becomes Electro.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's sufficient backstory. Jacob, I don't know what you, do you feel like you missed something there?
You're right. I mean, good thing I had seen the movie so that way I knew the intricate plot of The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That's just full of depth.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, right, Harry Osborn, totally normal dude, and then all of a sudden he's just I'm going to become evil and be the Green Goblin. And you remember how, spoiler alert, I guess for the movie technically, you know how at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man they do the death of Gwen Stacy?
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy is not in this game besides being mentioned once. When you're at home as Peter Parker and he's talking to Aunt May, and he sees on the TV that someone broke into the Oscorp building, and he goes, "Oh, I have to go there." And then she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Gwen still works there." And she's like, "Oh, I wish you guys never broke up." That's the end of the mentions of Gwen Stacy.
Oh, I wish she never had her, back of her head smashed into the pavement by...
That didn't... I guess that doesn't even happen in this version at all.
I am...
I just remember
confused.
I just remember the beginning too. The beginning of the game starts off with Uncle Ben dying and then you trying to find his murderer, which happens in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, so I don't know why it's in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game.
Because you really need to know. I think at this point people just like making Uncle Ben die. I don't know what it is about Uncle Ben, but he needs to die every time he shows up anywhere. I feel bad for that guy.
Then, after you defeat Uncle Ben's killer, that's when the whole Oscorp thing happens. Or no, I think Carnage kills the guy who was the Uncle Ben's killer. And so then you go back to the house, and that's when you see the Oscorp thing. And then you go in there, and one of the gang leaders that you let go earlier turns into the Shocker. I forgot about the Shocker.
Any other Spider-Man villains they want to throw in this game while they're at it? Or
I'm honestly shocked that,
where's Venom? They skipped right over him and just went straight to Carnage.
Yeah, and it's weird because he's not even really Carnage. Like, in the beginning, he's just, I forget his name. I want to say Cassius Clay, but that's Muhammad Ali. I think it's I don't know, it's going to bother me now. Now I need to look it up. But yeah, so at first he's just his regular human form, and then all of a sudden at the end when you're in the middle of fighting him, Cletus Cassidy. Then at the end when you're fighting him, he turns into Carnage, full on Carnage, and then you defeat him and that's the end of the game.
Why not just skip over Carnage? Go straight to, what was the third one's name? Toxic?
Yeah, nobody cares about Toxic, that's why.
Yeah, well, he's, it's weird, because they all just sort of get, slightly stronger versions of them. Carnage is a stronger Venom, Toxic is just a stronger Carnage.
And Venom's a stronger Spider-Man.
Yeah, basically. And, their weakness to fire gets, worse as it goes down the line. Toxic doesn't even care about fire anymore, whereas Venom is, deathly afraid of it or whatever.
I was so confused during that final fight, too, on what to do with Carnage, right? I was supposed to web strike him off a wall into fire, but I kept web striking him, and then he would just jump away. I was like, what am I doing?
He ain't having none of that fire business.
But yeah, so all that's really left for me to do is do these random crimes and do the collecting all the comic book pages and this J. Jonah Jameson photo challenges and stuff like that.
Of course.
By the way, they get a terrible J.K. Simmons impersonator for this.
Oh, that's the worst.
Exactly. That's the one thing that maybe the original Spider-Man 2 definitely has over this, other than a story that makes sense, is that they have actual J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, if you don't have J.K. Simmons, do not try to get a J.K. Simmons impersonator, because that just makes it worse.
During the Oscorp mission, he calls you and he's like, "Parker, you're gonna get photos of the inside of Oscorp." He's like, "Get me pictures of Spider-Man inside Oscorp."
Yeah. So as long as they can sneak that line in there, then they feel like they've met their quota.
But the thing I think that's probably the most egregious thing at all about this game is that there's a morality system, kind of, a little bit, not really. It's just sort of how the city sees you. So they can either see you as a menace or a hero, and by doing more heroic acts, your hero meter fills up, right? The problem is that the random crimes that pop up on your map eventually disappear. And when they disappear, that brings your hero meter down. The problem is that there can be millions of these, not millions literally, but you know what I mean, hyperbole. There can be millions of them on your map, and say you don't know that there's one on the Upper East Side, right? But you're, maybe in Lower Manhattan. And then it just goes away. You'll lose your hero meter out of nowhere for no reason. So it doesn't even really matter.
Yeah, see, that's kind of frustrating. I like the whole morality thing, especially if they tie it in with J. Jonah Jameson, right? The lower your meter gets, the more you hear him flip out about what a menace Spider-Man is. Yeah. But, only have it go down if you fail the mission, right? It's impossible to hit all of them, I imagine. So it's you're punishing your player for something they can't even realistically do.
Because let's say in your area there's 5 at once. You can maybe hit 3 before the 4th one starts blinking, and then that goes away, and then the 5th one, by the time you're trying to get to the 4th one, the 5th one has started blinking, and then that goes away when you're on the way there. So you've already lost 2 bars of hero meter or whatever, let's say. by that point. But it's like it doesn't really do anything in the story at all, other than it makes this Kingpin / Harry Osborn task force attack you harder.
That's kind of annoying.
It is. It's really annoying. And then there's giant robots, which I'm like, ugh, why are there giant robots in every Spider-Man game?
Why is Kingpin there? I mean, like, he's a big Spider-Man villain, but has nothing to do with the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, because the thing is with the video games that's always been weird to me is that it doesn't exactly follow the plot of the movie, and I get why they do that, because like they need to pad out the length of a video game. Because like obviously it can't just be the plot of the movie, because the plot of the movie is like 2 hours at the most, and at that point, you know, I think this game took me 4 hours to beat, so they didn't add that much.
Yeah.
But so they needed to add in these things, but they don't just add in. It's weird that Wilson Fisk is there, because he's not, like, he's a Spider-Man villain, but he's not like just a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, he's a lot of villains.
Yeah, like that implies to me that, you know, this is a world that's shared with Daredevil or so and so, right? Because like, it's weird. It's like how in, like, there's like a Iron Man 3 mobile game that was for the Iron Man 3 movie, and there's like an Oscorp billboard in the game. Like, the video games have always been weird for me for these movies, because they add in extra villains that are from other comics, or they add in things from the comics that are weird.
Yeah, it's weird, because the game sort of, when you're watching like TV or movies or whatever, you sort of forget that they're all in the same continuity, especially unless they make a point to say they're not, because they don't directly reference, like when you're watching Daredevil, it's technically in the same universe as the Avengers and all the movies, but they don't mention any of them other than some obscure like background thing, like they refer to the Chitauri invasion as the incident or whatever, right?
Right.
But with the video games, they throw all that out the window, and, you know, Spider-Man and Daredevil meet, and, you know, they both fight Kingpin, or like you said with the Tony Stark sees an Oscorp billboard, and it all just sort of throws it all into a mixing pot, and what you get is some weird abomination that only actually works in comics.
Yeah. So, like, I think, like, I kind of hate this game, but I kind of don't at the same time. Like, I think it plays fine. It's really boring after a while, because a lot of, like, the boss fights and everything are just rinse and repeat, and it gets really boring. Like, by the end of it, I was just like, all right, let's fight Carnage and finish it.
Yeah, so I have a feeling you're not going back to that game anytime soon.
I mean, I might go back to it just because, like, I like swinging around the city, and I like collecting these comic book pages and stuff. So, like, I mean, I might go back to it. I might do the random crimes, and I might do, like, you know, the photo missions. But, like, I don't think I'll go back to it and play it, like, a super lot like I did the first day that I got it. Not even meaning to beat it.
Yeah, that's really short. That kind of amazes me, actually. Like, I'm all for short games. I think short games deserve a place in, you know, the industry, but that's really short.
Something tells me this was meant for, like, kids. Like,
maybe
kids go see the Amazing Spider-Man movie, and then they're like, oh, well, I want to play the video game. And, you know, kids are bad at video games, so it'll take them longer to beat it than me, who was a seasoned gamer.
I feel like kids are, like, polarizing on that scale. Like, either they're a little savant at video games, you want to punch them in the head, or they're holding the controller upside down. Like, there's no middle ground with kids, I feel like.
Exactly. So, like, I feel like this was definitely meant for, like, because, like, I mean, even, like, think about, like, when we played the original Spider-Man 2 when we were kids, right? We didn't, you know, get super far in that game because we didn't know what we were doing, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to the point where I got into the game and I'm only halfway through. Like, when I went to go back to play a little while ago, I was only, like, halfway through it, and I was like, this seems like a game I should have beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue I still don't know what I'm doing, so not much has changed.
Exactly. So, like, that, something tells me this was a quick little cash grab game they made to get for the kids who just saw the movie. But, like I said, I mean, if you can get it for, like, a wicked cheap price, like, I think 20 maybe even might be much.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you can get it for, like, maybe, like, 10, 15, you won't have that bad of a time with it.
Wait a little bit. Actually, you know what you should do? Wait until the Insomniac game comes out, and then check the Walmart $5 bin, and I guarantee you'll find the game.
I was just kind of desperate to play a Spider-Man game. That's why. Like, I definitely could have waited for the Insomniac game, but I don't know when that's coming, and I was kind of desperate to play a good Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
And I'm still desperate.
This did nothing but, you know, further the void.
Yeah. So now that we're done with what we're playing, maybe we should move into the news. Brad, read me some of that news that I gathered for you.
Okay, Jacob. Let me take a look at what you have put in front of me today. And because this is the first or the last show into the next month, and we know what the games with gold and PlayStation Plus games are, we're going to read them to you, as is tradition. So for Xbox One, we have Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate and WWE 2K16.
Is Warriors Orochi 3, is that a Dynasty Warriors game?
I actually have no idea.
Just like, I think I might have seen this in the store before, and the font looks to me like a sort of Dynasty Warriors kind of font, so I don't know. And WWE 2K16 is an alright game. I wish I would not have paid for it because I only played it like 5 times, but, you know, that's just me. I mean, I don't know if I like wrestling, but just wrestling games have never really done anything for me in a long time.
The only guy I ever played as was either the Big Show or what was the other dude with the devil mask? Kane? That was him.
You played as the Demon Kane?
Yes.
What about Corporate Kane? Did you ever play as Corporate Kane?
I never played as Corporate Kane. For Xbox 360, it is Spelunky and Beyond Good and Evil HD. So some good games for Xbox this month, I think.
I've heard good things about Spelunky. I've never played it before, though. I have it on PlayStation, I think.
My youngest brother's played it quite a bit. He seems to speak highly of it, so...
And in that lost episode when we had Vinny on, he spoke very highly of it.
Yeah, that one's lost to time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
On PlayStation Plus for PS4, we have Rebel Galaxy, Tricky Towers, and Ultratron, which is a terrible name. Don't ever name anything Ultratron.
Rebel Galaxy seems like a weird space trucker game. And honestly, it reminds me a lot of No Man's Sky, but I don't think it has the procedurally generated thing and has like the planet stuff. I think it's only just space.
Just space things.
Yeah, Tricky Towers is like a weird like stacking game. It kind of looks like Tetris, but things can fall over. So, I mean, I don't know about that. And Ultratron, I think, is just like a twin-stick shooter.
Oh, great. So it's got a bad name, and it's a genre I don't like, which is fantastic. So PlayStation 3, we have Yakuza 5, Retro/Grade, and Ultratron again, because, I mean, once just wasn't enough. And for PS Vita, we have Patapon 3, and once more, Ultratron.
Patapon 3 is a good game.
Is it?
Yeah, I played it on PSP. It's a PSP game.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yes.
I've never played it, though I did own a PSP. So those are the free games for this month. I'm going to say Xbox probably had the better selection.
Yeah, I think so. It's just got a wider variety of stuff.
Yeah, but if you like Ultratron, then you loved this month's PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to try out that Rebel Galaxy game, because it looks kind of cool.
I haven't played a good space game in a while. I could go for a good space game.
Yeah, maybe it's the kind of thing like Spiderman. Maybe I should just wait for No Man's Sky.
Yeah. Speaking of this, that's a terrible segue. I'm not even going to try that, but ex-PlayStation VP Adam Boyes moves to the Iron Galaxy Studios. Apparently, when the heat goes over 90, my enunciation skills also go out the window. So Adam Boyes, formerly the president of PlayStation Publisher and Developer Relations Division, has joined Iron Galaxy Studios as its new CEO. He'll start his tenure at the Chicago-based developer in early August, 1 month after he had announced he was leaving PlayStation. So Boyes previously teased he'd be moving on from Sony, where he was a well-known face at the press conferences. Jacob, you are very familiar with Adam Boyes, I believe.
I love Adam Boyes. Adam Boyes is one of my favorite people at PlayStation.
Well, we'll see what he does at Iron Galaxy. As CEO, he'll help to oversee Iron Galaxy projects like Killer Instinct, the fighting game Reboot, developed alongside Microsoft Studios. Iron Galaxy has also worked on games like Destiny, Bioshock Infinite, the Windows PC port of Batman Arkham Knight. You might want to strike that one from the record, and Video Ball, which just published last month. So,
yes,
are you excited about this move, Jacob? Do you think it's a good thing?
I'm excited about it because I like to see Adam Boyes maybe stretch his wings a little bit. You know, he has a little bit more creative freedom over Iron Galaxy. And also in the news doc, I added an image that they put out with their press release, and that looks like it would be like the cover of a rap album.
All right, I gotta look at this. Hold on.
It's Adam Boyes on the left, Dave Lang, former CEO, in the middle, and I'm not really sure who the woman is.
That is exactly what it would look like if the gaming industry tried to put out a rap album. I will give you guys a link to this in the episode description because it's too good to keep to ourselves.
Isn't that a great image? I love both Adam Boyes and Dave Lang. They've both made different appearances on this podcast. I listen to the Giant Bombcast, which is the podcast for GiantBomb.com. And they're both really great, really funny guys. So I'm excited to see what they do working together going forward.
Yeah, and speaking of Dave Lang, he is now moving to the company's business development side upon a boy's arrival. So there was no, boot into the curb or anything. He moved to a different industry, a different side of the company is all.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to, I hope that he does great things at Iron Galaxy. It's a studio I feel like a lot of people have grown to love.
Yeah.
Speaking of things people have grown to love, Pokemon Go Plus, that little add-on for Pokemon Go, has been delayed to September, which is quite a large delay, seeing it was originally slated for late July. The company did not give a reason for the delay, but an educated guess is that the phenomenal success of Pokemon Go caused Nintendo to take more time to make enough units to meet the demand for the peripheral. While the game is developed by Niantic Labs, Nintendo is producing and distributing the Pokemon Go Plus. But to me, that seems a little extreme because I don't think you would need to delay such a long time simply to produce extra units.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Go, especially given the price of this thing, which will cost $35, it is designed to allow players to play the game without having their smartphone out. It's a Bluetooth-based unit, which can be worn as a pin or with a wrist strap lights up, and the Pokemon and Pokestops are nearby. And, there's an update to this. There we go. I love updates. So, a Nintendo representative told Polygon that the company delayed the Pokemon Go Plus not for production concerns, there we go, but instead to ensure that the game itself would work properly with the accessory, which makes more sense because the game doesn't work properly on its own.
Good point.
So, the statement was, the delay is due to preparations for Pokemon Go application update in order to optimize Pokemon Go Plus in order for us to offer new experiences to play Pokemon Go with Pokemon Go Plus with a quality level high enough to satisfy as many people as possible. We decided it is necessary to take enough time for the completion. We ask for your understanding. This makes me feel like they're going to throw a few more resources at Niantic to hopefully get the game itself in order, and then that way they can move production along with Pokemon Go Plus, because despite them being $35 a pop, I'm sure they will sell very well.
Why would anyone... Just the app does this for you already, as long as you keep it running, which is just going to drain your battery.
That's why I think people would do this.
But, this is such a stupid thing to spend $35 on. It's a little wrist strap that glows when you're near a Pokestop.
If you want my opinion on this, head back to, I believe it was episode 47 or so, titled, I Kinda Want One, because we talked about it that episode, and my opinion has not changed. I kinda want one.
The thing is, right, is, these things, I kind of hate them, but I get why they exist, right? And I wish that maybe they would just do something to help out, people that don't want to buy this. I have an Apple Watch. It would be nice if the app worked with the Apple Watch and did the same thing that Pokemon Go Plus does.
I would be very surprised if it didn't do that at some point.
The problem is that I'm not going to spend $35 on that, and so that's probably why they haven't done it.
Well, that and they have to coordinate with Apple further than they already are, whereas Nintendo is sort of doing this in-house.
Yeah.
So it takes considerably less resources to do something on their own than further their, involvement with Apple by making it compatible with the Apple Watch, or iWatch, what do you call it?
With Apple Watch.
Okay. Oh, right, because don't people get mad if you call it an iWatch?
Well, people don't get... I don't get mad, but I'm sure, if I went into an Apple store and I said iWatch, they'd correct me in anger.
They'd be all snooty like, oh, it's not an iWatch.
It's an Apple Watch.
That's silly. Speaking of silly, well, this isn't silly. Life is Strange is being adapted into a live-action series. We're seeing a lot of this. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I kind of like this one, though. It fits to me. It's better than trying to cram all of its story into, a movie or something.
Yeah, I'm okay with any adaptation of any kind of video games. I feel like we need to enter that renaissance that comic books did. But Life is Strange publisher Square Enix is working... Was that really Square Enix? I didn't know that.
It was Square Enix published it, and I forget the company that made it.
Legendary Digital Studios.
Well, they're making the thing.
And
I'll look up who made the game. Just read the story.
You do that. So, Square Enix publisher is working with Legendary Digital Studios and a transmedia production company, DJ2 Entertainment, that was a long name, to adapt the beloved adventure game into a live-action digital series, which I think is really cool. Greg Siegel, Senior Vice President of Development and Production for Legendary Digital, said in a press release that Life is Strange, quote, lends itself perfectly to live-action imaginings. I don't know what about it is so perfect for that medium, but I'm going to trust his expert opinion.
It's basically set up like a TV show in a way.
Well, yeah, all Telltale games are, right? And this is basically just a Telltale game that wasn't made by Telltale.
Yeah, it was made by Don't Nod Entertainment, who up to this point has only made 2 games, Remember Me and Life is Strange. And they have a 3rd game coming out in 2017 called Vampire.
That's, interesting. What is also interesting is that Legendary Digital, working with DJ2 to develop the series. DJ2, however, is also producing the Sony Pictures Sonic the Hedgehog film, a live-action CGI hybrid movie that is scheduled to hit theaters in 2018. So
that story just, stop, don't do that.
it got worse, didn't it?
Yeah.
So hopefully DJ2 here is not as, that doesn't sound as bad as that just sounded to my ears, but
Yeah, no, like, making a live-action series of Life is Strange makes more sense than making a live-action CGI hybrid movie of Sonic.
yeah. How many chili dogs are in there?
Legendary Digital has also done those Dead Rising movies.
Yes, they did they did a series of them. So,
Which, I mean, they're okay for, like, movies that are on a free digital service that nobody uses.
you know what? I'm kind of annoyed. I'm going to go on a little rant here. Things like the Sonic the Hedgehog film, live-action CGI hybrid movie, coming in 2018, are the reason that video game movies are not good.
See, here's the thing, right? We say that, but that movie could be good.
There is no way that movie's going to come out and be good. I cannot fathom. The only Sonic movie I remember liking was one I had on VHS when I was a little kid. It came in this little white box, and the VHS itself was white. That's why I remember it so well. It was weird. And the only reason I liked it was because I was a kid and I really liked Sonic and the movie was goofy. If I watched it now, I'd probably, only like it for nostalgia reasons. But Sonic is not a character that lends himself to any medium that isn't video games. And you could argue he doesn't even lend himself to video games well anymore.
See, here's the thing, right? I think if they make it more like the cartoons were, it could be okay.
Maybe.
The problem is that it's live action. Like, if it was just a full, like, CG animated movie...
Yeah, what the hell? Why is it live action?
Like, I don't know. Maybe they want to do the story of Sonic 06 and have him, like, make out with a woman at the end.
Oh, that was really weird.
Yeah.
That better not happen, because that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Well, I mean, even, like, they had an anime show that was on for kids that had human characters that spent time with Sonic, so maybe it'll be more like that. I mean, that show was okay.
Of course, 4Kid was involved.
Yeah. I mean, that show was, like, it was alright,
so,
you know what I mean?
Who is going to be live action of this, other than just no-name human characters? I imagine there has to be some maybe Eggman? I hope
Eggman will probably be.
That...
John Goodman is Eggman. Boom, I just casted it.
Oh, God. All right, I want to stop talking about this.
Tell me not. Is that not perfect casting?
It's going to be him. It's absolutely going to be him. Makes me sad. What doesn't make me sad, however, is Telltale's multiplayer crowd play feature will support up to 2,000 people at once. So those of you who don't know, the crowd play feature is sort of like multiplayer for Telltale games where you can have a bunch of people make decisions on the game that you're playing, which is really weird. It's sort of what Twitch streamers have been doing with these games, except now it's an official feature. And of course, it's an optional feature, by the way, so it's not... So anywhere from 2 to 2,000 or more people can participate in it, and Crowdplay is set to make its debut with the first episode of Batman the Telltale series, launching August 2nd. So actually very, very close. In a blog post, the developer explained how the feature will work, and anyone who can see a player's screen, like friends, family, or a live stream audience, can vote alongside the player using their phone or computer. This turns a Telltale game's major choices into a team decision. So, finally, Twitch chat actually has some voice.
Look at that.
So, there's not too much more to that other than just... It's coming on August 2nd. I'll give you guys a link to how the feature works if you're curious. If you're maybe you watch somebody who plays a lot of Telltale games, then you'll want to know how it works. So, what do you think about this, Jacob? You think it's a
I think it's a cool idea for you have these. I think the friends and family thing is a little bit much. I think it's mainly going to be used for live stream audiences, but because I know a lot of people who I've listened to podcasts, or I have friends who will play games like this with their girlfriend, or maybe their parent likes this kind of thing. I know someone who played through all of Until Dawn with their girlfriend. They just played it like a horror movie. Yeah. And made the decisions together. So, people have been doing this for a long time. The fact that now they're making a multiplayer version of this is kind of cool, especially for, say, someone is a huge streamer and they, maybe they're a huge fan of Batman. Maybe they don't do a lot of Telltale games, but Batman's going to be their first one. And it's let's get everybody involved on the decision-making process. I think it's a cool idea. I don't know how much I'll use it unless, I stream Batman, a Telltale series.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for those who wanted it, and it does absolutely nothing to make the experience any worse for those who don't. Yeah. So I really think it's a great call. And Job Stauffer, who's the head of creative communications, had said that we'll be doing special theatrical events all around the country and the world, where we'll be taking episodes out, and fans can come out and join us and log in from their phone and yell at us on the screen at the same time and really just take part in the Telltale experience.
I think they did this at Comic-Con. They showed the entire first episode to a Comic-Con audience, and they had Greg Miller playing it with like Troy Baker, who's the voice of Batman. That's
pretty cool.
And I think I would assume they had the crowd use this crowd play thing now, but I have no clue.
Yeah, and they offered a little clarification here. It was said that it could support upwards of 20,000 people or more during live events, but Telltale is sticking to 2,000 as a participant cap for now. That's due to the latency issues with Twitch and other streaming platforms that will likely keep individual players from hosting their playthroughs for thousands of others to watch, at least for the time being. So, while they might at some point raise the cap a little bit more to accommodate larger audiences, they have to, like they said, be mindful of the latency issues.
Yeah.
So, it's a great little story there. Speaking of a bunch of great little stories, it's time for the wrap up.
I haven't done this in a couple weeks.
I want to find a sound clip for the wrap up, like just a quick little do. I don't know. I'll do some peeking around. I don't know.
Peeking and poking.
Peeking and poking. Yes. So, Fallout 4's latest add-on, Vault-Tec Workshop, has been released on PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One. Vault-Tec Workshop, which Bethesda announced at E3, gives Fallout 4 players the ability to build their own vault. I believe we talked about this before in the last episode or the one before that. The feature.
I think we talked about it on the E3 one.
It might have been the E3 one. The feature uses the settlement building functionality that the game launched with, albeit with pre-war furniture, lighting, and art. Once players have constructed a vault, they can fill it with vault dwellers and then experiment on those people. So all you sick, twisted people out there can fulfill your experimenting fantasies. The DLC is available for $4.99 on its own and is included with the Fallout 4 Season Pass. So
that sounds like fun. I didn't like the building stuff that much in that game, so.
I like building in games, but I'm a simpleton. So anything more complicated than Minecraft, and I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Fallout was a little too complicated. If it was more like the Legos that are Minecraft.
It was so annoying to have to run out and get resources, come back and do it again. I don't have time for that.
I only did it when I had to. Like when you had to build the thing for that portal, you had to get the stuff to build that robot.
Yeah.
Like any other time when I just ignored all the settlement stuff in general.
Yeah. I wanted nothing to do with that. Speaking of things I wanted nothing to do with, that's not entirely true. THQ, rest in peace, and Visual Games Darksiders is being remastered for current generation consoles and PC, according to a listing on a publisher Nordic Games website. Titled The Darksiders War Mastered Edition, the re-release of the 2010 action-adventure game promises enhanced visuals and native 1080p resolutions on consoles, according to the game's website. Darksiders War Mastered. Can you just say remastered, people? I'm tired of these word playing on remastered.
I hate this so much, I realize this, but I'll let you finish reading this and I'll explain why I hate it at the end.
It makes my job so much harder. Now I completely lost. Oh, here it is. The War Mastered Edition will feature double the texture resolution of the original game, better shadows, post-processing effects, and 60 FPS on PS4, Windows PC, and Xbox One. The Wii U version will run at 30 frames per second, no shock to anybody. The Darksiders War Mastered Edition release date has not yet been announced.
So I hate this because in the Darksiders games, you play as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. In the first one, I think it's war, and in the second one, it's death.
I've seen this game. Okay, I know. I know what game this is now.
It's kind of like a more violent Zelda, really. Actually,
yeah.
You play through it. In the first Darksiders, you play as war, so that's why this is the War Mastered Edition. And then the second one, you play as death, and that's why when Darksiders 2 got remastered, they called it the Deathinitive Edition.
We've talked about that before. I remember because that one annoyed me too.
Exactly. So now if they ever make a Darksiders 3 and they make a definitive edition or a remastered version of that, it will probably be like the Faminative edition.
Yeah, what are the other two? Famine and, was it Plague?
Yeah, the Plague Mastered edition.
Stop doing it, guys. I'm tired of it. It's not funny. You're not creative. Or you are creative. No, you're not. I'm taking that back. You're not creative. It annoys me. But what doesn't annoy me is Yakuza. I've never played it, so it can't annoy me.
This is kind of cool.
After almost 2 years after its Japan debut, Yakuza 0 will launch in North America and Europe on January 24th.
It's my birthday.
That's a long way away.
Yeah.
I thought that was a typo and it meant July, but nope, that's correct. Yakuza 0, for PlayStation 4 only, takes the player to the decadence of Tokyo in the late 1980s, and is set up as a prequel to Sega's action-brawler gangster franchise. That's why it's the Zero. It launched in Japan in March 2015. The story follows protagonist Kiryu? I'm gonna go with Kiryu. As he rises through the Dojima crime family. When he's sent to collect a debt and fails, all hell breaks loose. Sega of America is handling the localization. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. How do they do with localization?
Not that bad.
All right, so it'll be decent. The launch here will allow players for the first in a numbered Yakuza game to play as the eccentric Goro Majima, a longtime NPC. If you're a Yakuza player, I imagine you know who that guy is. For me, I have no idea.
Yeah, not me neither. I mean, I think I played like one Yakuza game, and it was that spin-off where they fought zombies, and one person had like a machine gun hand. When I say machine gun, I mean like minigun.
So you've played the Blood Dragon equivalent of Yakuza.
Essentially, I think it was like Yakuza Dead Souls, something like that.
Couldn't tell you. I've always wanted to play Yakuza though. It's just a game I've never just picked up.
Yeah.
Maybe this'll get me into it. I don't know. But that's it, Jacob. That's all I got.
Brad,
That's all you had, actually. I don't know why I'm taking credit. I had nothing to do with that.
Brad.
Yeah.
I just made you look the fool a second ago. I'm gonna look the fool right now.
Oh, are you gonna say what I think you're gonna say?
I forgot to get a wallet. It sucked. And it's my bad. I should have did this last night when I did the news doc, but I didn't think about it. And then I woke up today and went to work, and then got home from work and immediately came to record this.
And it was going so well.
Yeah. It was going without a hitch.
Yeah, other than
Then we hit a hitch.
Yeah, then we had a big hitch.
I don't know, what can we use to fill this time? Real quick.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've ranted and raved enough. I don't want to...
Did you ever end up watching the Justice League trailer?
No, I never did.
Oh.
I rewatched the Defenders trailer and the... What was the Luke Cage one? Once I got back. And
I like the Luke Cage one. The Defenders trailer is a whole lot of nothing.
yeah, it was just a way to introduce who was in it. And did you hear that we're not getting any Jessica Jones or Daredevil season 2s or 3s until 2018?
We're getting I know we're getting season 3 of Daredevil. I didn't know it was in 2018.
Yeah.
Punisher season 1 is coming next year.
Yeah, I think next year is Iron Fist and Punisher.
And Defenders, I think, is next year too.
I think Defenders is either next year or early. Nah, I think it is next year. It just sucks that like these are great, and I don't want to wait so long for them. But I can understand why they did it because they don't want to oversaturate the market.
I like it though. I like that they're fleshing out sort of maybe their little Netflix universe, even though it's still technically part of the MCU. But yeah. I don't like to wait that long either. Did you hear that Ghost Rider's coming to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, I heard about that.
But it's not like the real Ghost Rider. It's some spin-off Ghost Rider where he drives a Dodge Charger and doesn't even have a skull for a head.
I mean, if he's not Nicolas Cage, don't talk to me.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, but I'm just saying he's not Johnny Blaze, so there's still hope that the Johnny Blaze Netflix series will come.
I would be surprised if it didn't. I feel like they've successfully tackled and remastered. I'll use that word.
War mastered.
Yeah, they war mastered every bad like comic book representation up to this point, with the exception of Green Lantern. Because I don't think they've redone anything with Green Lantern.
Even though he's not a Marvel character, so
yeah. So he's not even a Marvel. I don't know why I care about him. So
exactly,
I mean,
hashtag Marvel Boys for life.
Yeah. DC makes me sad, man. They gotta get their house in order. But I mean, now that they've sort of just Spider-Man's getting a reboot, so all of his bad stuff's out the window. Daredevil has this awesome series now, so that weird movie is sort of gone. So, I mean, they've sort of remastered everything except Ghost Rider.
They war mastered the Punisher, which they didn't have to war master him after Punisher Warzone, because that movie's awesome.
I was sort of afraid I wouldn't like the Punisher in Season 2 of Daredevil. I ended up really, really liking him. I think he was my favorite part.
Did you ever see Punisher Warzone?
No.
The one thing I always say to people to get them to watch it and like see that it's like the greatest Punisher movie ever made is that at one point there are these guys doing parkour on a roof, and one flips over to the other roof and he shoots him with a rocket launcher.
That's incredible.
Exactly. It's amazing. You really should watch Punisher Warzone.
I might have to do that. You know what, Jake? Let's get our musical recommendation out of the way. From this point on, I think you can guys imagine we're not going to talk about video games much. So if you just want to get the musical recommendation and head out of here, guys, we accept that. Yeah. So let's get that out of the way first. Do you have one this week, Jacob?
You go first.
Okay.
I need to remember mine.
So this week I will recommend... I don't want to open my list. All right, fine. I'll recommend this. I just finished watching a series called Hero Academia. It's one of the it's a new series of anime that came out not too long ago, and it just finished airing. I want to say last week in English. So I just finished that up, and I think one of the premier things about that series is its music and its soundtrack, and it's absolutely amazing. So look that up on YouTube. It's Hero Academia soundtrack, and I think you guys will really, really enjoy the music. There's a lot of violin in there. Just it really, really builds hype, and I think there's 13 tracks. But the one you guys definitely have to check out is the first one called You Say Run. That is sort of their climax, height of the battle music, and it's really, really awesome.
My musical recommendation is the soundtrack to the movie Tron Legacy. After playing that Tron game that I talked about on like the last Thursday show, I was reminded about how good the music in the movie is because it was done by Daft Punk.
Yeah.
And so that soundtrack is just incredible. So everyone should go out and listen to the Daft Punk Tron Legacy soundtrack.
There you go. Tron Legacy for Jacob, My Hero Academia for me. Those are musical recommendations, guys. And if you're heading out here right now, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. But real quick, I want to get on recording your thoughts on Batman v Superman.
Oh, didn't I mention that on the last recording, or did I not?
No, we talked about it before.
Okay, so I finished Batman v Superman, that whole extended edition that's far too long.
Oh my god, I still haven't watched it yet because it's too long.
It's stupid. The movie was too long to begin with. We don't need another half hour tacked on. I rated it a 6.5, being generous. My brother rated it a 6, and that movie annoys me to the point of frustration, to the point where I want to scream.
I wish I could go back in time and change my score. I don't even know what I gave it on the show.
I remember after you watching it in the theater, you came on the show and said you had really enjoyed it, much more than you were expecting to, so...
Yeah, but I think that's mainly just because going into it, I thought it was going to be like the second coming of the Holocaust.
Can I just say I think that movie would have been considerably better had it not ended the way it did. The way it ended just absolutely just made me want to rip my hair out.
So I have a question. Is it a different ending in the extended cut, or...
I mean, I don't know where the extra half hour comes in because I walked away.
Right.
I watched the beginning part of the movie. I missed everything in the middle, but I already know what happens. And I came back for the ending. But the ending is still the same, where she gets the ring from Clark's mother, and she's all sad that he's dead, and then the whole movie ends with the 21 gun salute, and the coffin shakes and the dirt moves, so you know he's not dead.
Okay.
That,
all right, yeah, so it ends exactly the same.
That pissed me off.
Why?
Because nothing annoys me more than wasted potential. And the death of Superman has the potential to be one of the most heart-wrenching scenes that DC could have used. But the way they did it just completely removed any emotion from the scene, because you know he's not dead. They haven't even done Justice League yet. There's no way in hell he's dead. And you didn't even wait till the next movie to undo what you just did. Like, you spent 15-20 minutes just saying how sad Lois is and how sad the mother is and, oh, he was going to marry her, but he never got the chance. And then at the end of the movie, it's, oh, joke's on you guys, he's not dead, so all that 20 minutes of heart-wrenching, tear-jerking nothingness was just wasted.
So my problem with the end of that, right, is, like, I feel like it would have been better had we not known that Justice League was the very next movie. Because if Justice League was in the very next movie, and let's say, like, there was, like, a regular Man of Steel sequel in the middle, that's fine. Then we could have gotten the real death of Superman storyline. The problem is that didn't happen.
Yeah, and now they have completely ruined any chance of doing a meaningful death of Superman down the line, because he's already died once and it meant nothing. So
yeah, or even like using Doomsday in like a better way.
Yeah, so like they've never, like, they're not going to get another chance at what could have been a fantastic scene. And that just, like, that's if Captain America died before the Avengers movie. Like, I could, like, what? Oh, that annoys me.
So I have a question. Did you miss the grandma's sweet tea scene?
The show just had such a happy tone until you brought that up.
Did you miss the grandma's sweet tea scene?
Yeah.
So, Superman goes to like a meeting or something like that with Congress, and Lex Luthor was talking earlier with the senator who's running the meeting about trying to like get into like the Kryptonian stuff or whatever, or trying to like ban Superman. I forget exactly what happened. It's nonsense. And he says something like, "Oh, don't pee in a jar," and call, like the senator says, "Don't pee in a jar and call it Grandma's sweet tea." And so she's sitting there at the desk and she sees a jar on the thing and turns it around. And there's a label that says Grandma's sweet tea, and then a bomb goes off, and it makes it look like Superman did it.
Oh God.
Lex Luthor pees in a jar. So think about this, right? Lex Luthor sets up this crime scene because he gives this guy who lost his legs in the Battle of Metropolis, he gives him a wheelchair that has a bomb in it, right?
Yeah.
And his assistant is there. So that means that his DNA is now at this crime scene.
Actually, I didn't like that Lex Luthor at all.
I didn't like him at the beginning because I thought he was trying way too hard, like especially the scene with the Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. Ah, I love it.
But strong grip. Would want to get into a fight with this person.
Would not want to fight this man. I thought at the end he was okay once he started getting more evil. Like I like that scene on the rooftop when he's throwing pictures of his mother at Superman.
Yeah.
And I like the scene in the prison.
I didn't like the prison scene. The prison scene to me didn't seem like a Lex Luthor.
I don't know. He seemed to be getting more of the like stern Lex Luthor.
I mean, I can't complain that it's a different interpretation of the character. I mean, every time the Joker gets redone, it's a completely different version, so I mean,
my problem with what they've done with Lex Luthor now is that Lex Luthor can never be like president in the future like how he is in the comics because he's a felon.
Yeah, he's a felon, so he can't be. And even then, I don't think he's not charismatic. He's quirky. And I've never thought of Lex Luthor as a quirky individual. He was always the charismatic, intelligent counter to Bruce Wayne. And I don't know, I didn't get that from him.
What did you think of Batman? Did you like him?
I did. I think he was probably the best part of the movie. And I don't like the way they're taking his character, but I mean, Ben Affleck did what he could with the character he was given, and I think he did very well.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I didn't like some of him just straight up murdering people stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean by like they're giving him a Batman that nobody's gonna like, but he has to do what he can with what he's given.
I think they've reset that though for Justice League because the synopsis for Justice League is like now with a renewed look on life, Bruce Wayne is
after murdering hundreds of people, he has realized that was not a good thing to do.
Yeah, and so he's decided against it, and now he's just going to become Tony Stark.
Yeah, I mean more or less.
Yeah, but
Wonder Woman was a complete waste.
Yeah, she had no reason to be in this movie. She was flying Turkish Airlines, though. That's important. Remember, Turkish Airlines.
And she had a weird subplot of romance that went nowhere.
Oh, I did the email scene, too. It's so laughably bad.
I don't... She's a good actor, too. Like,
She's good as Wonder Woman. The trailer for the Wonder Woman movie looks really great.
They had a lot of great...
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I think that it's Zack Snyder. Guys, get him out of there. Put him in timeout.
Which when I watched the Justice League trailer, I was like, oh, this looks great. It's colorful. People are cracking jokes. It's going to be great. And then I remember that he's directing it.
Yeah, guys, get him out of the room. I don't care what you have to do. Give him the next Green Lantern movie. The character's already ruined anyway.
He's not running the DC movies anymore. Thank God it's now on to Jeff Johns because, like I predicted, they should give it to Jeff Johns, and they did.
I don't know. Zack Snyder is a man that I don't know why. I don't know what he's thinking, to be completely honest. There were a lot of really good actors in that movie that were either wasted or given a character they couldn't possibly portray in a way the public would like.
Murdered Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, like, I didn't know that was Jimmy Olsen immediately until my dad pointed out. We were watching the movie, and that first scene happens where he's shot, and my dad's like, you know what that just was? Like, no, I have no idea. He goes, that was Jimmy Olsen. I'm like, no, it wasn't. He's like, yep, but you could see why that annoyed a lot of people.
See, what is it, too? I found out a fun behind-the-scenes fact of that, is that Jesse Eisenberg, who plays Lex Luthor, originally went in to read for Jimmy Olsen, and they were going to get a big guy to play like a big actor to play Jimmy Olsen, and then kill him, and that was supposed to be like a shocking thing. But then they gave him Lex Luthor instead for some reason.
Because Lex Luthor and him share so many just great qualities of the character.
And it's weird, too, because, like, I don't get it. So what are you going to say?
So they're not even remotely the same type of characters, so I don't know how you can audition for one and get the other.
I have no clue either. But what is it, though? I like Jesse Eisenberg could have been a good Lex Luthor, and I see this so much, and I say this every time I watch this movie again, because it's one of my favorite movies, is The Social Network. He's in that, and he plays Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. And just the way he acts in that movie, he's kind of, like, sinister, he's a little bit down, he's kind of, like, socially awkward in a way. I was like, if he just played Lex Luthor like this, it'd actually be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been harsh on him. He's not a bad Lex Luthor. He's just not my kind of Lex Luthor.
like I'd say watch The Social Network or at least look up clips of it and just see how he acts in The Social Network.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's honestly like if you look at that, you're like if he played Lex Luthor like that, it'd be interesting. It'd be a different Lex Luthor, but it'd still be sort of along the same lines. It wouldn't be a complete departure, like how this version is.
I don't know. I'm not happy with this film, and I'm not happy for where it's going because I feel like Justice League at this rate is not going to be a great movie.
Watch those trailers. I think it might put your mind at ease a little bit.
I hope that it. What do you think about Suicide Squad? That's coming up pretty quick.
I think it looks great. In all honesty.
Yeah, I think my biggest worry is Harley Quinn right now. I feel like she's gonna get the attitude right, but I don't like the look of her. I think I said this to you off air. She looks like she's a skin from Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what that game is, Google it quickly, and you'll very quickly understand why I made that comparison.
Written by the director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, of all things.
But I think she looks fine. I like her attitude to it. I kind of get what they're doing, but
yeah.
I think like the Joker looks cool. I'm still not okay with those tattoos. But I think he looks like a cool version of the Joker. Like, there's that one shot you see in the trailer of him laying in the circle of knives and he's just laughing maniacally.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Like, I was like, that's like Joker right there.
I'm curious to see how he's going to use the previous interpretations of Joker. Like, maybe he might put a little bit of Nicholson in there. He might put a little bit of Heath Ledger in there. I want to see what he's going to do. I'm actually really curious.
To me, if I had to sort of equate it to the other ones, he looks like it's sort of like a little bit of Mark Hamill, a little bit of Nicholson with a sprinkle of Ledger on top.
And I think that's a really good combination of things. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I think it looks really great. I think the humor looks good in it. I like having a DC movie with humor. I think it was really good to not have Zack Snyder direct this movie.
Yeah, the fewer titles his name appears on, I think the better DC is going to fare.
After he directed Watchmen, they should have just told him to get the hell out.
You know what? I will say this. Batman v Superman, although not a great movie, had a lot of fantastically shot scenes that looked like they were stills from a comic book. But I think that actually worked against the movie because it could just completely ruin the pacing. Like
that movie looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks great. And like the scene where he's coming down on the roof, where the whole S thing on the thing, S on the roof, and he looks like the whole Superman is God thing, which was way overdone, by the way. Like there was like 7 or 8 things saying he was God. I mean, 1 or 2 was enough. Thank you.
That's the problem with the character of Superman, though, is that he's just a Jesus allegory.
Yeah, but it looked great. Like it looked straight out of a comic book, but it just ruined the pacing.
Can I say though, right? Well, I will say I like the Batman Superman fight. But you shouldn't title your movie Batman v Superman if your fight is 5 freaking minutes long.
That's entirely true. This movie was not Batman v Superman. This was Batman inconveniences Superman until Doomsday shows up.
This was Batman inconveniences Superman. Superman destroys his car. They fight for 5 minutes. Martha the movie. Also, what did you think of that ending the fight? The fact that he just said the name Martha.
I didn't watch it. I knew it was coming, so I left. And
why'd you say that name?
Yeah, and my brother walked in. I was in my room. My brother walked in 5 minutes after I knew that scene had showed up. He goes, "That might have been the worst ending to a fight scene I've ever seen."
But I thought everything like before it was awesome though. When like he shoots the grenade at him and he catches it, and then it shoots the kryptonite in his face, and they start fighting. And then there's one part where he's just like punching Superman, and then the kryptonite's wearing off, so then he just starts not caring about the punches.
I mean, like the actual fight was cool, but there was no fighting. Just there's not enough fighting in the fighting movie.
Yeah, in the Versus movie.
Yeah, but Jacob, I think we have sufficiently talked our comic book ways, so I think it's time we wrap up this episode, and I'll get into the spiel. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at completewithdlc@gmail.com. It's going to be the best place for you to send your comments, complaints, questions, concerns, or anything else you want to send our way. That's the place to do it. You want to verbally assault Jacob for getting another well that sucked? Head on right over there and do it. He will take it in strides. If you want to follow the show, head on over to Twitter. We are Complete with DLC on Twitter as well. That's where Jacob's going to update you guys as to whether a new episode goes live on the YouTube, on the RSS feed, on wherever it's going. That's the place he's going to do it. Jacob will keep you guys informed. He's on top of that stuff. If you just want to get new episodes of the podcast as they come out, you can head on over to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, any of the affiliates thereof. When you get there, please use whatever review software they give you, whether that be thumbs, stars, arrows, or smiley faces, and we'd like to hear what you guys think. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Where can we improve? Where can we afford to slack off? All of this stuff is very valuable to us, and we like to think we're improving with each episode. If you don't want a review, that's fine. All we ask for is a listen. Your ears are enough. If you want to watch us live, head on over to twitch.tv/completewithdlc. Not every episode is live streamed, so please head on over to Twitter to figure out if any episode is being live streamed or not. Generally speaking, they're going to be live streamed approximately 1 p.m. Eastern, maybe a little later, maybe a little earlier. It's not consistent. Like I said, make sure you frequent the Twitters. VODs of those live streams and videos I'm recording on the side, because I record a video for almost every episode, even if we're not live streaming it, is on our YouTube channel. Check out the episode description to find our YouTube channel, because it's far too long for us to be able to recite here. Jacob, if they'd like to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
You can get in touch with me on any sort of social media at itsjaygriff, ITSJAYGRIFF. I'm most active on Twitter, though, so if you really want to get in touch with me, Twitter would be the place to do that. Ooh, I've been invited to a Pokemon event at GameStop.
Ooh.
Brad, what would you... where can they get in touch with you? Not what would you?
If you want to get in touch with me, you can do that on Twitter as well. I'm Calgany on Twitter, Kalgne. I'm not terribly active, but I do frequent it quite often. I just don't tweet. I'll notice you if you try to get in touch with me there. But if you want to have an actual conversation with me and maybe play some games with me while you're at it, head on over to Battle.net. I am Brad, #1261 on Battle.net. That's the friend code you got to type in. Yes, you need to include the hashtag. Once you send me the friend request and I accept it, let me know where you heard it, whether it be a podcast episode, a YouTube video, whether I sent it to you in an email, whatever it is. Let me know so I can make a physical note of it and I don't accidentally delete you if I happen to forget who you are particularly. Then you can, we can play some Overwatch together, or you can watch me try to reach a legend in Hearthstone or whatever it is I'm doing that week. Jacob, I think that's it.
That's everything.
That's everything.
This has been Complete with DLC. I'm Jacob Griffin.
We gotta work on that sign-off.
Yeah, we do.
I'm Brad Knight.
And thank you for listening.